Dak Prescott went on Twitter to apologize for comments that he made about the officials after the game. Here's what he said. I think it's important that you hear what he said because it was the right thing to do on his behalf. He said, "I deeply regret the comments I made regarding the officials after the game on Sunday. I was caught up in the emotion of a disappointing loss, and my words were uncalled for and unfair. I hold the NFL officials in the highest regard, have always respected their professionalism and the difficulty of their jobs. The safety of everyone who attends a game or participates on the field of a sporting event is a very serious matter. That was a mistake on my behalf, and I am sorry." For those of you who are not aware, he made comments that suggested afterwards that when the fans were throwing stuff at the officials, that he supported that. He's an extraordinarily classy person. This was the classy and right thing to do. Period. New paragraph. We move forward. Right. Next order of business is the coaching situation. And Kmart, you were telling us this morning, it feels like it's not going. It feels
like Mike McCarthy will stay, and there's a lot of interest in Dan Quinn. So the question becomes, Mike McCarthy stays, but who's going to be the defensive coordinator if Dan Quinn does go elsewhere and get a head coaching job? A lot of teams are interested in him. I don't think when you change coaches every couple of years, that's obviously not a good situation, right? But what concerns me about this situation is he's had two different defensive coordinators. If Dan Quinn leaves for another job, he could have a third heading into this year. When you look at this team, the pressure that's on Mike McCarthy, the minute OTA start, training camp starts, he's going to be in a pressure cooker. Every week, talk about every week was a referendum on the star. Every week next season, if he stays as the head coach, will be how can this team get back to what it should be, which is a playoff team. That's a lot of pressure for Mike McCarthy.
Well, Nico, I haven't had a chance to talk to you all week long. What is your overriding thought on the way that ended and the impact on the coach and what direction they should go from here?
Well, I think they might be in a position of we wish we had Dan Quinn as our head coach, but we can't have him as our head coach right now. He's the D coordinator, and you look at the sloppy football in the playoffs. You cannot win playoff games with 14 penalties or 15. I think it was something crazy. They set
14.
a record.
Yeah, it was 14.
14 penalties. You cannot win in the playoffs with 14 penalties. And then on top of that, you have interceptions, and it's just bad football. When you're playing bad football and situational awareness, if you don't have the awareness to take the football and give it to the referee, listen, I don't know the rules on the headsets and when they pop in. I know quarterbacks have the coaches in their ear and then it cuts off when the play happens. If you're a coach, you're screaming, get the ball to the ref. Maybe they were saying spike it or something in his ear and he was frustrated and just trying. I think at the moment that the game was on the line, everybody panicked. And when you have that panic set in, that's not a good look for anybody, and the head coach especially. So to have a good football team, you got to be disciplined. They're not disciplined. 14 penalties, boom. That's enough to just tell you they're not a playoff football team. Yeah. And I said they're going to be a one playoff team and done at that point before the playoffs started, and they were able to do that.
I'm certainly not going to cape up for Mike McCarthy. Like, he's given enough reason to move on from him. But I'm certainly also not going to be the one saying that Dan Quinn is the answer and that they need to run Mike McCarthy out. I do think that this team was okay. It was above average throughout most of the season. And it's clear what they need to address. They don't necessarily need to clean house. And also, there's one thing in Dallas that is never going to change, or it's not going to change for a long time, or hasn't changed for a long time. Mm-hmm. Jerry Jones. Right. And so presuming, like everyone talks about how they need to get some other coach in there, some disciplinarian to get rid of these penalties. You can't have that with Jerry Jones. We saw what happened with Jimmy Johnson. You cannot have a bigger personnel. We saw what happened with Bill Parcells. You cannot have a bigger personality in there until something changes at the top. So I understand how everyone feels that what Mike McCarthy has done this season is disappointing and it's grounds for being fired, but you have to understand the context of the situation that he has dropped into. Build on what you've done up until this point and put a direct focus on end-of-game management throughout this offseason and also on discipline and penalties throughout this offseason. And then you go into the next season and you take another shot at it.
Didn't you say yesterday, what can Mike McCarthy do to give Jerry Jones the confidence to feel like, yeah, he gets it now. After these 2 years, he gets that, yeah, situational awareness is key for a
Yes, how
head
did you
coach.
not know previously that situational awareness and clock management were a big part of your job?
It's a
I
difficult-
agree.
Yeah.
I agree. He should have known this coming into it, but now they have something in particular to focus on. I think part of the problem for the offense in particular in the latter half of the season was something popped up every week.
Right.
One week the rushing game wasn't good. One week the O-line wasn't good. One week the receivers showed up. Every now and then Dak would have a bad game. And that's the problem. It's hard to address 13 different things that pop up here and there. You're kind of doing whack-a-mole. With this, it's very clear. Understand how to use your timeouts and understand how to run a 2-minute drill. Mike McCarthy's marching orders, I don't think Jerry Jones needs to tell him that. If he needs to tell him that, then you have a problem. Because if he was at those games, which I assume he was, the cameras seem to suggest he was, he knows what the problem is. Focus on it, get better, find a defensive coordinator if you're going to lose Dan Quinn, and move forward.
I would also very quickly say on the Dan Quinn of it all, and I have no idea how great a head coach he could be in his second opportunity he's going to get. I do know history is filled with coaches who in their second opportunity did a lot better than they did in their first. Rob Minkovich is intimately familiar with at least one of them, Bill Belichick, who had some success in Cleveland, not as much as Dan Quinn did in Atlanta, and then has done okay for himself in his second stop. So I'm not suggesting that they need to keep Dan Quinn and that they're doomed if they do not. But I am saying coaches have gotten better in their second chance.
I mean, put on the bottom line. Mike Greenberg says Dan Quinn is Bill Belichick. Write it down there.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.